24 hours after swearing in his new cabinet, Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir issued 5 decrees as anti-government protests continued across the country. He's already declared a year-long nationwide state of emergency. His new orders include outlawing any gathering or protest without a permit and banning all strikes. Security forces have been given powers to monitor, raid, and confiscate properties. They can also carry out searches of people and confiscate money and goods if it's suspected the emergency laws have been violated. And they can restrict people's movements and activities. Opposition parties say it's an attempt to crack down on anyone who doesn't agree with Bashir.
The decrees that were issued stifle freedom, whether it's the freedom of the average individual or political freedom. That's why I think these are depressing orders that take away the freedom of the people and give the authorities complete freedom to do what they want. Complete freedom for the authorities is complete corruption. So we're against the state of emergency that was declared and the decrees that fall under it.
The day after the decrees were announced, protesters gathered to defy the ban. Anti-government demonstrations began in mid-December, prompted by rising costs of basic goods like bread. But they quickly turned into demands for President Bashir to end his 30-year rule and hand over power to an interim government, demands he has rejected. The government says 32 people have been killed as security forces responded with tear gas and live ammunition. Rights groups say the death toll is at least 50. The new decrees also include measures targeting the country's rising inflation rate. They restrict the amount of hard currency that can be carried outside the country, as well as regulating fuel and gold trading.
For economic reform, there has to be a complete state of emergency so that the government can control the economy and stop the smuggling and the corruption. Sudan's weakness was economic due to weakness in the regulating rules, so the decrees can control the economy.
Sudan's Attorney General now has the power to cancel immunity for some people suspected of violating the emergency law. Courts will be established to try them. The presidential decree also states that any news which harms or undermines the state, defames people, or incites hatred or racism through any medium, audio or visual, including social media, is banned. Offenders face a fine or up to 10 years in prison. Some analysts say the demonstrations will continue despite the ban.
I
don't think we'll see the protests stop in Sudan, but we'll be witnessing a new political scene, not just in terms of the demonstrations, but in his speech, the president also called for dialogue and relieved top members of his party and replaced them with military men. All this opens a door for a new political scene in Sudan.
Whether the aim of the decrees is to end the demonstrations or fix the economy that triggered them, many Sudanese have already rejected them. They say they'll continue to protest, which will test how effective Bashir's state of emergency will prove to be. Hiba, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.